And that's why, my brothers and sisters, don't be deceived by these Western philosophies. Wallahi, don't be deceived by them. Because that's what they want from you and your offspring. You know, it didn't work with our generation, by and large, because, you know, in that time, the education system wasn't as developed as it is today. And developed, I don't mean in a good way. But they did not change the education system enough, because they still had a basis of religiosity to the education system. Anyone who's from my era or even before my era in the United Kingdom. You know, they used to sing hymns and they used to have an aspect of Christianity. Even the teachers had that religiosity with them. Even now, we're all a bunch of atheists and Darwinists. LGBT and Allahu A'lam what else. That's the thinking now, and that's what they want to inculcate into your children. There is no God. In their eyes, God is dead. Wal-iyadhu billah. Obviously, they won't say it because they don't want to offend the communities, especially not minority communities, because ethnic minority communities, whether you're Albanian, Somali, Pakistani, Bengali, Afghani, Kurdi, if you've come from outside, from other countries to this country, you've come with some aspect of religiosity, however weak it is. So the parents don't want to hear any of that, there's no God. Even though they themselves may be distant from the deen of Allah. But they don't want to hear that. So it is done, you know, it is insidious, it is almost secretive, and it is built into the education system. So they come in at the age of 6 or 5 or even earlier, you know, because some mums don't want to look after their children. And that's the reality, because they think that just because everyone else is sending their children to, you know, kindergarten or nursery, as we call it in the UK, they're sending them to these Sure Start centres and nurseries at the age of 3. I've got to send them at the age of 3. Why didn't you send your child at the age of 3 to a nursery? The nursery is in the home with the mum and dad, with mother and the siblings. That's the best place of education for a 3-year-old. Why would you want to send your child? Why would you want to send your child at the age of 3 to unbelievers, into the state system for 3 hours a day or 4 hours a day or 5 hours a day? Then they go in from 3. Then at the age of 5, they go into primary school. As soon as they go into primary school, year 1 and year 2, straight away, the storybooks now, especially in the inner cities, that the teachers are teaching left-wing, radical Marxists, in reality, atheists, that they are teaching your children, my 2 mums, to 6-year-olds. And that is a book that is taught. And I know it's taught in inner cities like Sheffield and Birmingham. Drag queens. You know what a drag queen is? This is a man dressed up as a woman in clothing as if, you know, like the nightclub miniskirts and so on, stockings, high heels, walking into primary schools, on stage, in front of a school that is 98% Muslim. Dancing, bringing up young girls onto stage to him. So this is a man, or he was born a man, or male. Man is praiseworthy, he's a male. He stands up on stage dancing to music, and young girls, Somali, Bengali, Pakistani, Afghani, Iraqi, Kurdish, Moroccans, and they are, you can see them on YouTube. I mean, I don't advise that you see them, but they're on YouTube, uploaded. This is what they bring in. That's at the age of 6. But they won't go much further than that. It's just, you know, normalizing it. Because every child, how do they know something is normal? They look at adults. That's how they normalize. They know whether something is socially accepted, because if mum and dad accept it, then it's acceptable. If teacher accepts it, you know, Miss so-and-so or Mr. so-and-so, or I don't know if they use Miss and Mr. anymore anyway. You know, but if they accept, they look at them. So now your mentor, your teacher, your example is reading to you about two mums. So the child doesn't really understand, because the child has got mum and dad predominantly, especially if you're from an ethnic minority community. Whether you're Nigerian or whether you're Gambian or whether you're Moroccan or whether you're Pakistani, generally you come from mum and dad communities, right? Because it, alhamdulillah, hasn't really infiltrated into the minority communities, this LGBT movement. Anyway. When the teacher's reading it, the children know that it's not where they come from. But since the teacher is reading it, it must be acceptable, because the teacher's now normalized it. That's the first piece of the jigsaw. That's all the teacher has to do. Then so that's year 1. Year 2, they just stretch it a bit further. Year 3, year 4. So by the time year 6, that's the end of primary age, it is absolutely normal, acceptable, not just tolerated, but normal. There is no difference between having mum and dad and having dad and dad. No difference in their eyes. And actually, that's the curriculum now. You cannot say that one is normal and one is not normal anymore. Both of them are the same. That is standard education system. Any teacher who teaches other than that is going against DFE regulations. Any teacher. That's standard. You cannot teach your children that this is haram, this is abnormal, this is deviated, this is sexual deviate. You can't do that. So by the age of 11, they're already done. You've lost them. In evolution, you've lost them, because that's taught in primary level as well. In Darwinism, you've lost them. In cosmology, you've lost them. In this LGBT ideology, you've lost them by the age of 11. So what do they do for the next 5 years? So year 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Now they turn them into missionaries. Now they have to become vanguards. Jazakallah khair. Now they are vanguards for these ideologies and doctrines. So by the time they're 16, they now go into their communities and they call to that which they're upon. Because you've just given them to the state system for 10 years. And if you put them into nursery at the age of 3, then you've given them for another 2 years as a bonus. 12 years they've been in the state system. I heard a quote the other day. If you send your children to Caesar for education, then don't be surprised if they come back as Romans. True or not true? Absolutely true.